With your permission, now I'll open the meeting. Good afternoon to those participants who are joining us from Turkey, and good morning to those participants who are participating from US and Europe. Welcome to our second GVC Talks webinar today, which we're jointly organizing with Presidency Investment Office in partnership with US Chamber. Today, this meeting will be recorded and will be published afterwards on our YouTube channel. For those panelists and for those participants, I would like to inform you beforehand. And now I would like to give the floor to our board member, Mr. Burak Kılıç. Floor is yours.
Aslı, thank you very much. Dear participants, welcome to our second Global Value Chain Talks. We are very excited. This is our new initiative this year, and we want to give you some overview about AmCham Turkey, our priorities, and our roadmap. On behalf of AmCham Turkey Board of Directors, we want to thank you for your participation. We are organizing this event jointly with Presidential Investment Office and also with the support of US Chamber of Commerce. I want to start with AmCham Turkey's priority. AmCham Turkey represents 110 US company operating in Turkey with $50 billion investment and more than 100,000 employees. Our main goal is to be the power that carries Turkey to global markets, supported by our three key strengths: our contribution to investments, employment, and exports, connecting local businesses with global value chain, and leading in development of world-class talent, sustainability, and diversity and inclusion. Based on these powerful abilities, we set 5 priorities for 2021. First one, protect and drive in US investment and trade in Turkey. Second one, promote Turkey and Istanbul particularly as a regional hub. Third one is pursue greater participation in global value chains for our partner Turkish SMEs. Fourth and fifth one we included this year. Fourth one, pioneering the development of world-class talent and diversity inclusion programs. And fifth one, provide active support to Turkish integration to global climate change and sustainability agenda. In line with our priorities, we decided to organize 4 consecutive webinars jointly with the Presidential Investment Office. Our thematic topics are deemed to play a decisive role in Turkey's integration to global value chain. First one was investment perspective. Second one, this one is regional commerce relations. Third one will be regional trade relation, especially on Green Deal. And last one, fourth one will be tax mechanism. Our first panel on 5th of April about investment perspective was focused on agile and usable government incentive provided by Turkish government. And we have heard many good stories about experts and also the investors. Today, we are aiming focus on regional trade networks. As you all know, historically, Turkey has always been on top of global trade networks. We are in a conjunction of Asia and Europe and Africa, and we have centuries-long historic trade relationship with other countries in the region. And as we are part of the Custom Uniom, this is unique ability for Turkey to provide with proximity to EU countries, great supply chain ability to European countries. As you all know, global supply chain have been undergoing a profound transformation. Before pandemic and after pandemic, it has been accelerated rapidly. and multinational companies have been looking for alternative places to relocate their production sites and also secure their supply chain. Turkey, we believe, strongly stands out as an attractive location for not only for US company, but for any multinational company with the diversifying their supply chain and securing their supply chain in their mind. Turkey has high manufacturing capabilities, skilled and cost-effective labor force, and proximity to EU and MENA markets and international free trade networks. My company, UPS, has been operating in Turkey since 1988. And Turkey, particularly Istanbul, provides unique location to reach majority of the world population within 5 hours flight distance. This makes Turkey really uniquely positioned for global supply chain. The panel, you will listen, very valuable people in next hours, will provide how Turkey will play in this very dynamic world, new supply chain secure position to investors. We want to thank you again and hope that you will find this webinar useful. And I want to now hand over to Mr. Ahmet İhsan Erdem, the Vice President of Presidential Investment Office. Ahmet Bey.
Thank you, Burak, for this insightful remarks. And as the promoter of Turkey's investment climate investment opportunities, making my job easier. Distinguished participants from US, Turkey, and across the globe. Once again, on behalf of the Investment Office, I would like to welcome you all to our second panel on global value chains with a focus on regional trade relations. I am delighted to be with you today and thank you all for your participation. With our valuable partners, we teamed up with our valuable partner, AmCham Turkey, in collaboration with US Chambers of Commerce in order to assemble an outstanding line of speakers to discuss transformation of global value chains. As you know, companies have been organizing their international activities, namely production, trade, investments, through the so-called global value chains. However, the recent developments, including the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the pre-pandemic trends, have forced companies to reorganize their global supply networks. As global value chains significantly involve cross-border transactions, the flow of goods and services, international trade agreements started to play a key role for stronger participation in GVCs. Regional trade relations are now becoming even more and more important for the transformation of global value chains, which are being shortened and diversified through regionalization and relocation. Moreover, the increasing protectionist trade policies introduced by the world's leading economies have further increased the importance of the regional trade relations for GVCs. Trade liberalization over the past couple of decades have significantly contributed to the economic growth and integration across the globe. However, since the global financial crisis in 2009, many economies have introduced protectionist measures hindering international trade and investments. According to Global Trade Alert, governments across the world have introduced around 30,000 measures that affect international trade in goods and services, foreign investments, and labor force migration. Unfortunately, more than 70% of these measures have had harmful impact on international trade and investments. while less than 1/3 of them have had positive impact. Another trend that we have been witnessing is the increasing number of new generation trade agreements that include services and investments. Similarly, regional trade agreements have also been on the rise, creating strong regional economic blocs. On the other hand, trade facilitation, digitalization, e-commerce, logistics, infrastructure, and having a strategic location have also been critical for efficient trade relations. These developments are certainly creating challenges as well as opportunities for both countries and companies. As companies are looking for new places to relocate and shorten their supply chain, it is imperative for them to have free access to where they are sourcing their intermediate goods from and where they are selling their end products. That is vital component for backward and forward global value chain participations. This could be achieved through, among others, strong regional trade relations, free trade agreements, efficient regulations, proximity to the markets, and a strong logistics infrastructure. With that in mind, Turkey has been improving its trade relations with the rest of the world through certain policies and initiatives. To this end, a liberal and rule-based trade policy approach has been adopted, and accordingly a series of free trade agreements have been signed, while at the same time Turkey increased its commercial and diplomatic footprint in new markets, especially Africa and South America. Today, Turkey is a part of EU Customs Union, and it has an extensive network of free trade agreements with more than 20 countries, while on the other hand, Turkey continues to negotiate new agreements. The existing agreements are also being updated and upgraded in accordance with the needs that arise from global developments. In addition to free trade agreements, Turkey also supports preferential treaties within international and regional organizations that Turkey is a member of. As a part of its integration with the global trading system, Turkey joined the Trade Facilitation Agreement in 2016. This agreement, a multilateral initiative taken by WTO, is expected to improve trade efficiency worldwide by cutting red tape at borders, increasing transparency, and taking advantage of new technologies. In addition to liberal trade policies, Turkey's convenient location at the crossroad of trade routes has also been a boon to regional trade relations, enabling companies to access regional markets in Europe, Middle East, North Africa, and Central Asia. Moreover, Turkey's massive investments in infrastructure have further facilitated both domestic and international trade by increasing connectivity and efficiency. Over the past 2 decades, indeed, Turkey have invested around $160 billion in transportation and communications infrastructure. And coupled with its strategic location and this robust infrastructure, Turkey's open and rule-based trade policies has significantly increased its external trade. Not only our export has exponentially increased, but also we have significantly diversified our export markets and products. And that is why today many global companies, first and foremost American companies, have been using Turkey as an export and manufacturing base in the region. For example, US auto giant Ford has been manufacturing motor vehicles in Turkey for decades, but more importantly, using Turkey as a hub, it exports more than 90% of its production. Similarly, another US giant, Procter and Gamble, the largest consumer product company in the world and in Turkey, Tankut Bey will definitely elaborate more on their experience about doing business in Turkey. They has been operating in Turkey since 1987 with 2 production facilities, 1 logistics center, and 1 regional management hub. And PG is not only creating significant value in Turkey and exporting more than 1/3 of its production, but also connecting local suppliers with their global supply chains. So this is very important example of collaboration of a US company with the local suppliers. And additionally, many European and Asian companies such as Toyota, Nestle, and BHS have also been using Turkey as a manufacturing and export hub. Without further ado, I would like to finish my speech here and wish you all a very productive panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ahmet İhsan Erdem, for your insights about Turkey's trade region. And thank you, Burak Kılıç, for your opening remarks that set the stage. Now, I would like to introduce our moderator, a very successful journalist and author. Most of you watch his program at Bloomberg HT, I'm sure. Açıl Sezen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your kind words. I'm so glad to be with you here today on such an important event that we discuss regional trade relations. First of all, I would like to introduce you my valuable panelists, AmCham Turkey Chair and also PNG Turkey and CCAR Vice President, Mr. Tankut Turnaoğlu is with us today. Also from Netflix, we have the Head of Public Policy, Ms. Pelin Mavili is here. Also from Turkish Airlines, Chief Cargo Officer, Turhan Özer is with us, and also we are today hosting Mr. Ibrahim Kara, who is the Vice President of Kara Holding as well. Today we will discuss about the general attitude on foreign trade and especially on future and the importance of regional trade opportunities. Globalization was a huge idea, claiming that holds all the world together. The idea was huge, but we're not so sure that it's going to be a lifelong fact either. Of course, the intentions were good. After the Cold War, US was the clear winner, and with all her allies, US tried to integrate all trade opportunities, financial markets, production bases, and also the supply chains together. But in the end, after a quarter century of experience in this approach, we see there are certain beneficiaries and certain losers of that kind of globalization. The production bases, mostly China, managed to use the opportunity for changing their power, companies, and intellectual capacity. As we saw during the first phases of pandemic, if China stops, the world stops. If the production lines and the supply chains in China fails, the world cannot produce. With that production capacity, they managed to increase their surplus and their FX reserves and their effectiveness all over the world as well. With the Belt and Road Initiative, they tried to reach towards the inner circle of the world's highest income population, European Union. They were clearly moving towards becoming the world's most efficient and powerful economy, but this was happening at the cost of countries like United States and European Union's continuous deficits. This was not sustainable, and yet the answer came during the Trump era. With the Trump administration's aggressive moves against China and the others, for the first time after globalization, the world faced a new wave of protectionism and nationalism as well. The United States administration changed afterwards, and the Biden administration came to work, but the wording and phrases changed, the methodology also changed, but the main focus we can easily see that it still remains. In such an environment, founding strong regional trade relations becomes the most important thing to sustain production and supply chains. Everyone is looking for new allies nowadays and new trade partnerships to strengthen their positions. All the sectors and business people have to position themselves against this kind of tasks and risks approaching. These risks are not going to happen tomorrow. They're happening right now. We can easily say that. Today, we have different guests from different sectors. So we will have the chance of getting the perspectives of different sectors and also businesses in the different parts of the world indeed. And we will also talk about the potential advantages that Turkey really has. Turkey is a very important place and has a huge location advantage, as you all know. We are so close to Europe. We have the ability of connecting all continents and trade lines indeed. And we are also talking about an update on the Customs Union with European Union. So we will ask the first question to Mr. Tankut Turnaoğlu. We can also talk about and get some perspective about their experiences all over the world as a multinational company. Tankut Bey, the pandemic has changed many priorities on supply and demand all over the world. The supply security has become the most important issue, and also many multinational companies are looking forward to relocate their supply chains to closer areas of their target markets due to secure and sustain their productions. You are operating over 70 countries and you are serving over 5 billion people. Do you have any plans of changing the proportions of your supply chains in this region? And where do you locate in your manufacturing lines?
Thank you very much, Açıl Bey. I want to also send my best regards to all other panelists and wish a very productive and insightful panel on coming at a very right time. That's where the global GVCs supply chains are being actually now restructured, which is a fact. As P&G, you just said, we touch and improve lives of 5 billion consumers all over the world since 1837. And while we are doing that, one of our priority has always been a robust, resilient, and sustainable supply chain. Without a robust, resilient, sustainable supply chain, it is not possible to serve that many consumers in the same high standards, which is the company's, of course, commitment to the consumers all over the world. Of course, during the COVID, this supply chain, our supply chain is challenged like many other companies. While demand for some of our products actually has come down, like Gillette, because people are not going out and not shaving as much. But demand for some other products, especially for our hygiene and home products like detergents, the home care products, has increased, especially in the initial period, significantly. And as a result, our supply chains actually had to cope with also a sudden demand increase in many countries we operate. And our key objective has been, of course, first to protect the safety of our people and partners, but the second objective has been the business continuity, so we can keep serving the consumers in Turkey and, like you said, in all other countries that we operate. As many of our products are essential products that people are, especially at this point, more in need. So we rely on global supply chains for our finished products and raw and pack materials in most of our global businesses. As you can imagine, we faced and continue to face many challenges in our global supply chains due to port congestions, transportation delays, border closures, export bans, especially in the initial period, shipment container availability, staffing shortages at our suppliers, and in our facilities, especially in Europe. At the high time of the pandemic, our plants in Europe up to 40-50% faced absentia. So those people actually has a bit of an elder age population in Europe and some existing conditions. Many of our plants in Europe actually had to cut back on production. This is when really Turkey stepped in last March and April, and we significantly increased our exports in those countries, as on average it is 1/3 of our production we export, but at that time we exported more than 40%. So, but overall, since our supply chain has been globally already ready for such a challenge, we managed these challenges in a quite successful manner. The key to our success has been the resilience of our people, particularly the frontline employees working in our plants. In Turkey, we were able to keep all our shifts operating as normal in all waves of the pandemic. From the first day to today, I think we only lost one shift when there was a close down in last April. And that was only a one shift, but we were able to keep our plant in operation, while of course taking care of the safety of our people as well. The other reason why our supply chain were able to manage such a load was our focus over the last decade on end-to-end synchronization, integrated work systems, automation, digitalization of our manufacturing and supply chain planning processes, and very strong business continuity planning and supply relations. So let me give you some examples. In 2012, we took one big initiative to significantly simplify our global supply chain planning ecosystem and consolidate our supply chain planning from around 300 locations to 8 planning service centers. This enabled us to first standardize and digitalize the planning process and significantly improving productivity. At the same time, algorithmic planning, robotic process automation, and other digitalization tools become much easier to implement, which we also use in our 2 production facilities in Turkey. The automation and digitalization is at the core of our supply chain. This helped us to improve the agility and accuracy of our supply chain planning systems, driving cost and cash down while meeting the sudden shifts in the demand at that very volatile period that world is going through. I want to a bit highlight the strong supply relations, how important it is. P&G is recognized since 2015 in the Masters category for sustained supply chain excellence. And the partners having also a local strong ecosystem of partners in the supply chain is very, very crucial to meet those pressure on the supply chain. And that is why actually we have a very strong ecosystem of partners in Turkey. So I think you asked the question of where do you locate Turkey in your manufacturing lines? So let me answer that one with some examples on our ecosystem in Turkey. But before, for all the audience outside Turkey, once again, I want to highlight the competitive advantages that Turkey offers for locating manufacturing in Turkey. I think everybody who's working in Turkey will agree that Turkey offers young, large, skilled, and eager workforce, very well-developed entrepreneurial culture, a can-do attitude and agility, especially important at those testing times, a strategic location with a production and management hub potential, which means a high quality of both blue-collar and white-collar employees. And last one, the strong SMEs with developed manufacturing capabilities. That is why Turkey has a chance to become an indispensable partner of the global regional value chains post-COVID-19. Strong SMEs with the developed manufacturing and supply chain capabilities and high quality standards are the key for Turkey to join the global value chains in a sustainable manner. In many cases, multinational companies with their strong manufacturing and supply chain know-how and high quality and service standards and expectations play a key role in the development of the strong local SMEs. So I would like to share a concrete example how P&G over the years supported the transformation of the local production and enabled SMEs and entrepreneurs to grow and join the global value chain of Procter & Gamble. P&G has been operating in Turkey since 1987. We export 1/3 of our production, more than 20 countries in the region, both in the Asia and Europe. And we are among the export leaders of Turkey in paper categories for 9 years, consecutive years, and detergent for 4 consecutive years. In our plant in Turkey, we work approximately with 750 suppliers. And of those, 450 of them are based in Turkey. And 89 of those local suppliers export goods worth of $173 million. This is the number of last year, to other P&G production facilities in Europe, Middle East, Africa, and then newly in America. So P&G's experience, years of experience in Turkey and sustainable investment in Turkey created its own encouraging ecosystem of Turkish SMEs that produce and develop raw and pack materials or services at world standards. With this transformative impact, P&G provides $175 million income and employment to Turkish SMEs as it is global suppliers. So we have very good examples of these Turkish companies, such as Carweb Nonwoven from Kara Holding. Ibrahim Kara is here. I think he will elaborate our partnership. But not only that one, Gülsan, Elif Plastics, these are not our suppliers only in Turkey. There are very, very well recognized global suppliers. As I said, Mr. Kara is here, and I want to just give a very brief info about our partnership, and then Ibrahim Bey will elaborate. So Carweb Nonwovens, part of Kara Holding with 100% domestic capital, has been in collaboration with P&G for the last 6 years. So a relatively new partnership, I can say. With our cooperation that started in the production of sanitary pads in Gebze production facilities, it has now grown over the years and turned Carweb Nonwovens into a global supplier of P&G. Over the past 6 years, they exported 75 million Turkish lira to Asia, Europe, America, and Latin America, I think, if I'm not wrong, recently. So I will let Ibrahim Bey to elaborate on this partnership further. So in order to, in the current period, one of the big advantages of Turkey is having this strong Turkish SME network. There will be definitely a shift from global to regional, and in some cases, local supply chains. So in those environments, while it's very important for SMEs, local SMEs, to increase their commitment and effort for both in the capabilities of their workforce and the state-of-art technology to deliver high-quality products and service at the expected standards of the multinational companies, and seek partnerships with them. Once they reach those standards in Turkey, definitely the gates will be opening for them to become a global supplier beyond Turkey. And Carweb is a great example of this. But at the same time, we need government's help as well, because now it's not only Turkey is trying to attract the global value chains. Especially in our region, we have competition on the west side from Romania, Poland. Those are also trying to attract manufacturing capabilities, and they have formed over the years a strong manufacturing base as well. So it's very important to be competitive to those other countries, and especially commit 100% compliance to internationally accepted rules, regulation, standards such as OECD and WTO to ensure also the productivity of the existing investment of the existing investors in Turkey. The second one is providing investment incentives on tax, comparable tax levels. Those tax, actually the tax levels with the toll manufacturing in Poland and Romania can go down to 10%. In Turkey, this is 20 or 25 now, the corporate tax, plus there is a 15% now from the withholding tax as well. So that needs to be also moved to a comparative level. But it's also very important to give incentives for manufacturing with a focus on digitalization and automation. The good news is Turkish government has announced the economic reform package, and many of the improvements on the incentives, especially cash incentives, is on the and announced a roadmap for bringing those incentives to the competitive levels wherever there is opportunity. The third one, again, Turkey is already very active on this, a strong trade partnership with its neighbors, and especially EU, and an update of the EU Customs Union, which is a great advantage for Turkey, the existing Customs Union. An update on this, which I understand that soon will also be agreed by the European Council, I hope so, at the end of June, will increase Turkey's also competitiveness. So combined with the government's help to protect the existing investments, attract new investments, the multinational companies will help develop the capabilities and competitiveness of the SMEs, will enable them to transition from local to regional and global suppliers. So let me end my remarks, my notes here to answering your question.
Thank you very much for your kind remarks. I would like to pass to Mr. Ibrahim Kara, Vice President of Kara Holding. You just mentioned about your partnership and collaborations together, and I would like to hand over to him asking, as a strong local producer working with multinationals, what kind of difficulties did you face at the beginning, and what kind of advantages did you have after standardizing your work, as Tankut Bey just said?
Thank you, Açıl Bey. Thank you so much. I also want to thank you to Tankut Bey as well. We have a great partnership with them during the last 6 years, and we cannot ignore that this partnership is not a potential of trade. The potential of trade of this business is just a small portion of our business, but the big part is how we understand the structure of these multinational companies, how they run their business, how they operate their business. We are learning from them, and if we want to talk about the growth economy, we need to understand what is our strength side of Turkish companies. So we can say summarily that the 95% of the businesses are family owned in Turkey, and only 30% of these family companies survive to the second generation, and only 12% survive to the third generation. So as we are Kara Holding, we are a family owned company as well. So we are working with some of these multinational companies, and we cannot ignore how structural development we gain from those companies. And this is so important for sustainability, because if your business is not sustainable, it is no meaning for the market, for the country. I just want to mention that how is the importance of being this location, because Turkey has a great location. We are always talking about the advantage of being this location, but there are also some disadvantage sides of being this location. So let's see of course, pandemic process affected all the countries all around the world. But as a Turkey, we affected a lot to be in this region. So let's remember what happened in last 20 years in this region. If we go through the chronology, we can start with the Greece. Greece is one of the neighbors of Turkey. And as you can remember that in 2009, there was an economic depression started in Greece. This economic depression directly or indirectly affected the Turkey's trade and export. The next one is Syria. There was in early 2011, a political instability started in Syria, and it concluded with a civil war. Not only trade between Turkey and Syria affected, and also all religion has affected because of this instability. So direct investment has suspended for a while. Foreign people even scared to travel some of the location in Turkey. Many Syrian people moved to Turkey. Turkey affected economically and politically as well. Iraq has same instability problem during the last 18 years. And Iran has some more or less same situation. Maybe there is no war in Iran, but sanctions affect both direct trade of Turkey and also regional stability. All these problems occurred in last 20 years. Nevertheless, Turkey achieved to keep its economy resilient and dynamic. Since 2005, Turkey GDP increased around 6%, despite of all global, local, regional crises, wars. But how could be possible, despite of all this negativeness, how can we talk about the developing economy and developing country? First of all, Turkey has a great potential on production. What is this potential? As Mr. Tankut already mentioned about, we have a great competitive energy cost advantage. Our population is another most important advantage, high skilled labor force, population is young and energetic, and also attractive incentive application and tax benefit for the investors. All those advantages make Turkey attractive country for investors and producers, not only for the local investors, but also for the foreign investors like Ford, like P&G. These are the giant companies operating in Turkey. So also the Turkey has some advantage of having custom union with European unions and free trade agreements with 19 countries. Production potential is one of the key elements for growth economy, but we need to define target markets. We need to understand the importance and benefit of having trade agreements with stable countries, with stable companies. When we check the Turkey's export map during the last 20 years, what we see is 50% of our exports to the European countries and United States. 50% is not a percentage to be taken lightly. We are talking about export side, but there is also another potential in here, which is attracting multinational companies. It could be European companies, it could be American companies, but it is really important to take these companies making investment in Turkey or taking some of the operation in Turkey. Also, Ahmet İhsan Erdem already mentioned about the importance of hosting giant companies like P&G, like Ford, and like many other Asian companies in here. Trade possibility, I just can say that trade possibility is only a small part of gain by Turkey, by SMEs of Turkey's companies. So, as I said, we learned a lot from the P&G because they are just give a structural mentality of how we operate or how long-lasting companies can operate. We are learning from them. So as I said, 95% of the companies in Turkey is a business, family-owned business. The average life expectancy of these family companies are 25 years. So it is so low. We need to increase these numbers, and we need to take these companies for a long term. So working with a giant companies like P&G is giving a really good opportunity for Turkish SMEs and Turkish companies.
And also, Ibrahim Bey, I would like to ask a question about Turkey's Customs Union upgrade as well. I will pass the same question to Tankut Bey too. What kind of potentials can be faced after, if there is an agreement on the upgrade of Customs Union with European Union for your business and for your sector?
Thank you, Achil Bey. Actually, as I mentioned, that 50% of our export to the European countries. So yes, we are just providing a competitive advantage on input, like energy cost, like a labor cost, and high-skilled labor force. This is an advantage of Turkey, but Turkey is not only country providing this opportunities all around the world, especially in the Asian side. Many of the countries already provide these advantages. But how we can pass this process and how we can create a growth economy? The answer is we need to just concentrate on the high-tech products, not the middle or low technology, but high technology product. So as I mentioned, that incentives, application, and tax benefits are attractive for the investors, and the geographical location is one of the best advantage which Turkey has. But as a local producer, if we want to create a growth economy, we need to increase our relationship with these multinational and giant companies. As pandemic affected every single countries and every single companies, we just see that even the big companies, and also Tankut Bey also mentioned about how they evaluate their supply chain, because with the pandemic effect, as I said, everybody affected, but especially the giant companies, multinational companies, start to talking about the localization instead of the globalization. So why we come to this point, last 10 years, we were talking about the globalization. Why we are talking about the localization right now? Because in meanwhile, we see how closed markets has an advantage for the countries. Because we see how a ship in Suez Canal just blocked our businesses. Increasing transportation costs caused losing markets or potential trade opportunities. We experienced increased transportation costs. It's increased up to 5 times higher transportation cost on same destination. With this pandemic effect, geographical location become more important, but neither geographical location nor competitive supply chain is not enough to create a growth economy. Yes, maybe we can compete with some Asian countries on some production fields, but we need to understand where we need to focus on, which markets we need to focus on. We have a competitive advantage on middle low tech production as the Asian companies. What are these sectors? It is plastic sectors, it is metal sectors, it is rubber sectors. We can have a competitive advantage on these sectors, but in the long term, we need to move on from low tech products to high tech products, because in the middle term or long term, we will lose our advantage on textile sector, on furniture sector or garment production sector, which include all low-tech production systems. Sadly says, we will lose our competitive advantage, and BRICS countries will take this advantage. So we need to define which companies, which countries, which fields is more important for us. Last 15 to 20 years, high-tech production capacity is only 3% in Turkish production side. 3% is nothing. When we look at our competitors, it is up to 15 to 20%. So they are just focused on the high-tech production. If we don't target to compete on the mid-high or high technology products instead of providing low cost or cheap price, unfortunately, we cannot establish a growth economy. So if there is a growth economy in Europe side, and we already has an agreement, as you said, the union agreement with the European unions, we need to take advantage, and we need to increase our strength with the European countries.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind remarks. I would like to hand over to Tankut Turnaoğlu once more, just a couple of minutes before I pass to Ms. Pelin Mavili. What's your take on the customs union upgrade? What kind of opportunities for you, for your company, or your providers might that bring on?
Yeah, I'll be very brief, not to eat into our esteemed other panelists who are waiting to speak. At the end, I think most important is to the customs union update on expanding into new areas will strengthen the partnership with EU, which I think is very, very crucial. And that image in the world, that how Turkey is anchored to EU, will, I think, have a fresh, new excitement, create a fresh, new excitement that Turkey is part of Europe and will continue to be a part of Europe, an important part of Europe. We are the 6th biggest country in Europe. Istanbul is the biggest city in Europe. As PNG, Turkey CCR organization, we are part of Europe. So we are one of the 8 regional clusters in Europe. I think a new customs union will give more confidence to investors and existing investors and new investors into Turkey. That's, I think, is even more important than the new areas that the customs union will allow for Turkey and EU have a fully free trade opportunity. And I think it will also increase Turkey's competitiveness in the other countries in Europe to attract the GVCs due to both of that refreshing that image that Turkey is part of Europe and actual new areas that will be opening up partnership, and also eliminate, I think, some of the existing safeguards that are in both ends, both parts, that are a little bit stifling the existing customs union. I think they will all hopefully also go away with the new customs union agreement.
Thank you very much, Tankut Bey, for that. I would like to pass to Ms. Pelin Mavili for now. She is the head of public policy at Netflix. I would like to ask the question to you in terms of a different approach. Industrial production is not the only thing. We just produce a strong filming industry, and we are exporting a lot of Turkish series all over the world as well. And also Netflix is supporting Turkish producers, Turkish filming industry indeed. When we look at the viewers all over the world, especially at Middle Eastern, North African, or Latin American countries, they show huge interest towards Turkish productions and Turkish series as well. So also we can easily see that some movies like Paper Lives in Turkey can take place at the global high levels and lists for Netflix as well. So what's your take on the cultural transitivity? What kind of a potential are we talking about for the filming industry and that cultural transition that you are also showing huge interest in that one?
Thank you, Achille. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation to this great panel. I'm glad to be here with this esteemed panel. I'm also very glad to add diversity to the panel. To your point, very rightfully, you pointed out an important aspect of Turkish filming industry. At Netflix, we believe that the stories are in fact universal and they can come from everywhere and be loved anywhere. Turkish stories until now have already found popularity globally, and they turn out to be a good export source, actually, as you stated. But at Netflix, we are not bounded with the restrictions of broadcasting timings, schedules, and number of episodes, etc. So we are adding kind of agility and flexibility in storytelling as well. We hope to carry Turkish already existing very strong storytelling capability to a new level. And with our diverse network to 190 countries, we hope to extend the market outreach of Turkish filming industry and dramas as well. You rightfully stated Middle East, North Africa, and Latam, for example, as traditional strongholds for Turkish filming industry. But with Netflix now, we see new markets on top of our list for top markets of Turkish films and dramas. For example, US, which was a traditionally challenging market for our industry, is now one of our top markets in our top 10 indeed. But how does this success story really relate to today's panel session? Why is it important to speak about the success of Turkish filming industry globally for global and regional trade relations? Let me elaborate a little bit on this piece. In fact, we strongly think the cultural affinity that we create with our films and dramas have an impact in purchasing behavior as well. And we tested this hypothesis with a research, and an independent third party, in fact, another esteemed member of AmCham, Istanbul Economy, conducted a research on our behalf in 8 countries with 8,000 Netflix subscribers. And our target group was, one group was the ones watching Turkish content via Netflix, and others are Netflix subscribers who never watch Turkish content. And what we see here is a huge increase in the cultural affinity, the feeling of closeness to Turkey, to Turkish culture, Turkish products. Actually, we see that the cultural affinity among those watching Turkish content doubles compared to the people who are not watching Turkish content at all. So the filming industry and dramas has a strong impact on the perception of Turkey, Turkish culture, Turkish history, Turkish lifestyle. In fact, for example, the perception of Turkish people increases from 16% to 50% among those watching Turkish content. So this is a really impressive amount. And we also see that this positive perception transcends into purchasing behavior. When we ask in our survey if people are willing to purchase any made in Turkey products, we also see almost 20-point increase in the interest to buy a Turkish product or to taste a Turkish food. When it comes to tourism, for example, this is another impressive number. We see that the willingness to travel to Turkey more than doubles, actually. It is 25% among those who are not watching Turkish content. It raises to 54% among those watching Turkish local content. So we strongly hope all these positive approaches towards Turkey and Turkish product and willingness to travel to Turkey will reflect in numbers in tourism, especially post-COVID, and will reflect in numbers of our trade. So to give you an example, for example, at the moment we are seeing in global tourism advisory pages some advices that people watched Atiye via Netflix, for example, and visited Göbekli Tepe and telling how impressed they are. In fact, this is a great testimony to the success of storytelling in Turkey. But beyond that, and for even more important for sake of this panel, it is a great soft power. At the moment, Turkish film industry, Turkish films and dramas turned into a great source of soft power for Turkey. It is, in fact, a marketing tool at the moment for Turkey. And we are very mindful of this. And to support this narrative, this marketing narrative, we also created a Made in Turkey collection. And anyone, as subscriber of Netflix, can go to www.netflix.com/madeinturkey and can immediately access to hundreds of Turkish content, not only Netflix originals, but also licensed products from Turkey. So we strongly think that's a huge potential and very important and should be leveraged when considering commercial regional trade relationships. But up until now, I have spoken about the local slate, how Turkish content is impacting our relationships and perception globally, which reflects into trade. But there is also a huge potential in international slate as well. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to watch Old Guard, for example, where Charlize Theron was almost marketing Turkish baklava. I think this is really a huge opportunity, and we can leverage the global international slate as well to make Turkey and Turkish products better known globally. And in that sense, Turkish Ministry of Culture have valuable incentive programs to bring international shows to be shot in Turkey. And we are looking very closely into those as well. But what I have told up until now, let me finalize my remarks by underlining this. What I have told until now, the great success of Turkish filming industry up until now, this was just the beginning. Now we are opening our office in Istanbul. We will be more present here. We will be closer to our creative community. We will be working closely with our producers, and that will give us further opportunity to take Turkish stories to a higher level in the global market and provide more joy to our subscribers with Turkish content, which hopefully will in return transcend into closer relationships and better perception about Turkey and turning into commercial and economic gains for the country. Thank you.
Ms. Mavi, thank you very much for joining us here. I would like to pass to Mr. Turan Özen. He is the Chief Cargo Officer for Turkish Airlines. Mr. Özen, I would like to start with the general expansion model for Turkish Airlines cargo fleet as well, because the logistics is the strongest muscle for Turkey. And also the logistics is the key for development and sustained trade relations as well. Turkey has a lot of advantages. All of our panelists mentioned about that. And also we are so close to Europe, we are so close to Caucasus, we're so close to Middle East, Northern Africa as well. So we just see that after the pandemic, Turkish Airlines cargo fleet is expanding. You are just investing a lot in cargo business. What kind of advantages will that kind of an expansion bring to Turkey's exports? Because we just know that the foreign trade in Turkey is improving every year. We are just updating our records month by month. So are we ready for the ambitious trade goals that we just pointed out?
Thank you. First of all, it is a great privilege for me to be here with such valuable panelists and also a great audience in this global value chain talks. In order to answer your questions, let me put the perspective of this global and regional trade lanes and international commerce from an air logistics and supply chain perspective. First of all, supply chain and logistics management, as obvious to anyone in this panel, is our key to really develop and sustain any business worldwide or regional in terms of commerce, trade lanes, in terms of production, distribution, consumption, exports, and imports. When we come to air logistics, the story even gets more exciting. First of all, in terms of value of the goods, products, 35% of global cross-border commerce, global cross-border trade is being carried by air cargo and air freight. And in value, though it is almost in terms of or weight, this 35% in value is the number by 2019, 21 and onward. It will be close to 40% plus of the total global trade. So when we talk about air logistics and air supply chain within the total global supply chain of the world and the logistics management, we are talking about the most important, probably, transportation mode. Why is that? Obviously, the pandemic showed this for all the citizens of the world, but in terms of business, we all know very well that air logistics is for speed, for compliance, for quality, for flexibility, agility, security, and safety.
I think we have a problem with Mr. Özen's network bandwidth. We cannot hear him right now. I would like to remind you, by the way, that
these are all,
Mr.
I
Özen,
believe, worldwide.
Mr. Özen, we just had a bandwidth problem with you, so we could not hear your last words.
Do you have it?
We can see you right now, but we have a problem of synchronization as well. Can you talk a little bit? If we can hear you, we can see that.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Okay, we can hear you. We can hear you, but the screen is a little bit scratchy. I would like to remind all of our audience that we can get your questions to the chat box. After Mr. Özen's speech, we can get your questions, and our panelists will try to answer all your questions if you have. Okay, Mr. Özen, we can see you a little bit better now, so you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So this all numbers and statistics just I gave to show how global air logistics and air cargo makes an important part of the global trade possible worldwide. And the pandemic, pharma products, and recently the vaccines worldwide transportation are all being available thanks to the global air logistics sector. And when we come to importance of Turkey and Turkish Airlines related to this, if you take a junior student of engineering faculty and run a center of gravity study calculation for the total global trade lane volumes of the air flows, air trade lanes, the center of gravity of global air logistics and air trade lanes is very, very close to Istanbul. Practically, Turkey and Istanbul is at the center of global air supply chains. This certainly makes Turkish Airlines and Turkish Cargo in a very, very strong and advantageous position as using Istanbul as a hub within the total air logistics network. The location of Istanbul Airport, the hub of Turkish Airlines and Turkish Cargo being in Istanbul Airport makes this possible. The second important impact, I believe, is the product strength of the service providers, the cargo carriers, to carry pharma products, to sustain a full cold chain, to provide e-commerce services and express services worldwide, needs a huge investments both into technology, into capacity, and into handling of these designated products. In this product and service contest, Turkish Airlines and Turkish Cargo made very significant progress in the last few years. So what does it mean in terms of numbers? I can say that after in 5 years perspective, just back in 2016, Turkish Cargo being the 22nd largest global cargo carrier with 1.8% of market share. Now, by 2020, not only in 2020, but an average of 5 years consecutive growth in 2020, it is now reached to 5% of market share, global market share, and ranked the 6th largest global cargo carrier. When it comes to pharma products, for example, cold chain or vaccine transportation, Turkish Cargo, with 8% of the global market share, is the 3rd largest global vaccine carrier from air logistics. So all these numbers are showing the capabilities and the potential of Turkey and leveraged by Turkish Airlines in terms of supply chain and specific air logistics between not only Americas and Turkey, but also for any investor, any production, any trade partner, either in Turkey or in US, with the worldwide market expansion. So any business entrepreneur in US as well as in Turkey can reach to the rest of the world with Turkish Cargo, with this coverage of the network being one of the largest worldwide. In fact, in terms of cargo, Turkish Cargo is reaching to 104 countries worldwide with more than 300 destinations. And this is by far the largest air cargo network. And finally, with the new airport facility of cargo being fully utilized starting by late this year, the capacity of the air cargo hub in the new airport, Istanbul Airport, for Turkish Cargo will reach to 4 million tons of capacity, which will enable the total airport's capacity to reach 6 million tons by 2023 and onward. And just to give you an idea, what does it mean? Currently, the largest air cargo hub in the world is Hong Kong by 5 million tons of capacity. So we are now in one of the most fastest growing and most important center of logistics worldwide in Istanbul, and definitely in the near future to be by far one of the first ranked ones. All these shows, I believe, the capability and the potential of Turkey, first of all, and then Turkish Airlines, both passenger and cargo operations, to provide reliable services for all the chamber members in both countries, not to only develop the trade between these two countries, but also to reach worldwide market, again, via Turkish Airlines and Turkish Cargo networks. So finally, I can say to your question, we are ready to face the ever-increasing demand and ever-increasing volumes of this business for Turkish foreign trade, for American foreign trade, for both countries, and we are able to hopefully provide a world-class service into their supply chain requirements. Thank you.
Mr. Özen, thank you very much for your kind remarks. Unfortunately, I have to leave this panel and pass over to Mr. Burak Kılıç for the Q&A session due to my live broadcast show, which will start in a few minutes, but I really want to thank you to AmCham for their kind invitation, and also I'm so glad that I had the opportunity of speaking to this kind of distinguished guests as well. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for your invitation. I'm passing over the question and answer part to Mr. Burak Kılıç.
Thank you, Açıl Bey. Enjoy your show. So first of all, unfortunately, also the Deputy Minister of Trade, Tuna Turagay, who planned to join us, couldn't join us because of some unexpected immediate meeting. So we will continue with our panelists, and I want to go with Ibrahim Bey first. Ibrahim Bey, you described very well that Turkey has many positive sides from manufacturing perspective. Compared to Asia, we have many positive situation, and also our proximity to EU is unique opportunity. But how do you see our physical production capacity for Turkey? Where we are with that, and can we increase that as quick as the demand is increasing?
Thank you, Burak Bey. As I just mentioned about the great potential of Turkey on the production side, it is better to repeat it again. What is the Turkey's advantage on this point? It is competitive energy cost advantage, high skilled labor force, population is young, skilled people, they are energetic, and the incentive application in Turkey is quite attractive, and there are lots of tax benefits for the investments in here. And for sure, as you said, geographical location is one of the best advantage which Turkey has. So the advantages are really nice in producing in Turkey, but it is enough to create a dynamic and resilience economy in long term with using this advantage. As a local producer, my answer is unfortunately no. I totally agree that geographical location is great advantage to reach the high populated and high income countries. With the pandemic effect, destination becomes more important, and especially multinational and the giant companies started to talk about the localization instead of globalization, as I just said. In the meanwhile, we see that how closed market has an advantage for the countries, because in this pandemic process, we see how our businesses are affected, how a stuck ship in Suez Canal affected our businesses and actually blocked our businesses, and increasing transportation cost cause losing markets and also destroy our potential trade opportunities. We experienced to pay almost 5 times higher cost to the transportations on the same destination. So with this pandemic effect, geographical location become more important, but neither location nor competitive supply chain is not enough to create a growth economy. Yes, maybe we can compete with some Asian countries on some production fields, but we need to define which fields we need to compete with Asian countries, or which fields we need to focus on to make export to the European countries. I can say that the middle low-tech products, as I just mentioned, that plastic sector, metal sector, rubber sector, we can compete and we could have a competitive advantage on these sectors. But the sectors like textile, garment production, furniture production, which includes low-tech production, sadly say that we will lose all this competitive advantage on these sectors to the Asia countries or to BRICS countries in middle term or long term. So we need to define which fields, which production sectors we will compete on. So as I said, last 15 to 20 years, high-tech production capacity in Turkey, it is just only 3% of all production capacity. But our competitors already has 15 to 20% percentage ratios. So if we don't target to compete on middle high-tech products instead of providing low-cost products or cheap prices, unfortunately, we cannot establish growth economy. So how can we success this growth economy? We need some structural reforms. So what is these reforms? Already Tankut Bey mentioned about that. And the first one is digitalizations. We understood the importance of digitalizations on the pandemic process. If you are targeting to work with the developed countries, with the European countries, your companies need to be eligible to work with them. The second one is sustainability. If your business not suitable, not even matter what you are doing or what you are producing, it's doomed to disappear. It's supposed to be sustainable. All European companies recently just announced that all products will be the sustainable products. So whenever they are announcing that, how can you go ahead with the unsustainable products? Third one is research on development. Everybody, even the little kids, talking about the R&D, research and development. Companies need to increase budgets of the R&D, and governments need to support R&Ds more than exist. This is the only way we can move from the low mid technology production to mid high tech production. The fourth one is economic and political stability. If no stability, we cannot talk about the success on growth economy, attract foreign investor or resilient economy. So the 4 points I want to mention about is our homeworks. We need to complete these homeworks because our targeted markets and targeted clients already doing that. And this is the only possibility for Turkey to complete in global supply chain.
Thank you very much. It was very comprehensive answer, and definitely we need to do our homework first. Thank you. And Tankut Bey, I want to continue with you. I plan to ask another question actually, but one of our listeners has asked great question. And basically what I think she's saying, yes, there is trade and there is trade opportunity, but also there's another side of the coin, which is politics, right? And politics situation between Turkey and US is sometimes can be seen not positively. So how do you see from trade perspective? I see you are working hard to keep the positive agenda between Turkey and US. How do you see this political agenda and trade agenda, and how we can influence positively to these agendas?
Yeah, excellent question.
And this is to your AmCham hats. You have many hats, so this is to your AmCham hats. Yes.
Sure, I will answer with the AmCham hat with a PNG example. I think, first of all, what we have to say is the $100 billion trade goal, which was put forward during the previous administration, is confirmed that is still live, which I think is already the starting point. As you know, I think it was 2 years ago, just before the pandemic, the US Secretary of Trade, Wilbur Ross, dedicated 5 full days into Turkey. And actually, during 2020, despite the COVID, among the big trading partners of Turkey, the only country where the bilateral trade has increased actually has been United States. In fact, it increased, I think, around 4%, whereas in all other partners, it declined more than 10%, with EU, with UK, etc. In fact, Turkey's exports to US increased 11% in some key sectors, which was all the outcome of this sectoral discussions. The preparation that US side has basically made was very meticulous, and the LNG partnership is continuing very strong. So that I think the partnership on the business side is getting stronger. The data of 2020 confirms that despite the pandemic. And a bit, in fact, singles out US versus other trading partners as more on the positive side. So that is a momentum that we all need to try to build on, as we are business people and politics is politics. And Turkey had I think a lot of ups and downs with US over the last 50 years of strategic partnership in the NATO field. We remember the 70s, where there was actually an embargo. We remember some other time that some other actually there were in the past the Turkish US bases were closed in Turkey. So none of actually things happening is none of at that proportion, which was in the past, what is happening today. And I'm very hopeful that President Biden and President Erdogan actually agreed to meet face-to-face on the margins of the NATO meeting at the end of June. And our job, I think, as the business people, to make rational decisions, both, win-win basis for our companies that would also, I think, create a strong backdrop to those meetings, which I'm sure will have a political nature, but I hope will also have a business nature to facilitate the trade among these two strategic partners. And that is the agenda that we are trying to pursue as AmCham. And the Turkish government side actually is very, very open to our views. Actually, tomorrow we are visiting Ankara. The Minister of Finance, Lütfü Elvan, will be actually hosting our boat, and we will be able to explain in firsthand both the opportunities and the potentials in the Turkey and US as the US companies in Turkey for the opportunities and potentials in Turkey.
Thank you very much, Tankut. And I want to go next to Turhan Bey. I'm sure, Turhan Bey, the e-commerce is booming also in your business. So how Turkish Cargo and your new operation, especially in the new Istanbul airport, is getting ready for the increasing e-commerce demand, Turhan Bey?
Thank you, Burak Bey. E-commerce before the pandemic in the, let's say, 2014 to 2019, 5 years term, and had an average growth of 15% in global air cargo volumes, which is consecutively a very, very good number. But still, with all these growth, it is making 6 to 7% of total air cargo volume so far. So the penetration is fast, quick. However, looking to the total volumes of all other air cargo industries, that is limited. Certainly, 2020 has been a significant jump for increase here. We have indeed prepared our new operations in the smartest, in the Istanbul new hub, according to handle much more express and courier cargos, parcels, for e-commerce. The second initiative, I believe, important from Turkish airline perspective, Turkish Airlines, Turkish Cargo in 2019 established a joint venture with Chinese ZTO in Hong Kong, named V-World Express, as a door-to-door JV, as a virtual integrator to serve to the products of e-commerce suppliers in Hong Kong, in mainland China, and in Far East in general, for whole worldwide door-to-door distribution and deliveries. And certainly in most of the lanes using Turkish Cargo as a line haul carrier. I believe that the logistics capabilities into door-to-door deliveries, into door-to-door services, will play a key role in the coming years, not only for the integrators as it is currently, but also for the conventional air cargo carriers like Turkish Airlines, Turkish Cargo, to provide faster, more reliable, on-time delivery services, so that global e-commerce customers can benefit from this service worldwide.
Thank you very much, Turan Bey. And I'm sure we will be seeing more and more e-commerce oriented investment to Turkey as well, with this many opportunities. And Pelin, I want to go to you. We are very excited as a Netflix viewer. You know, I'm sending you some feedback time to time. What's going to happen? What can we expect from Netflix moving forward in Turkey market? So can you share with us some exciting news?
Surely we have good news going forward, Burak Bey. So by the end of last year, 2023, we already announced our slate investment for the upcoming years. We are planning 10 new Netflix originals. That was the announcement. Some of them are already released. Achil Bey mentioned Paper Lives. I know that you were kind enough to share your appreciation about that show as well. That was not only loved in Turkey, but also globally, as Achil Bey mentioned rightfully. And we have a very recent one at the moment. I'm sure some of our audience has already watched Fatma, our latest local language original. But currently we have 6 more shows on set at the moment being produced as we speak. And we are not also growing our slate with our own content, but we are also licensing, which is a huge support and investment to Turkish producer community. So up until now, since our start in Turkey in 2016, we extended our Turkish library 5 times, and that will be growing, obviously. But as part of good news, we are not only working on films and dramas, but we are also diversifying the genre that we are working on. So we will have some pleasant surprises to our subscribers going forward in types of our shows as well. But last but not least, I mentioned that we will be opening our office in the second half of this year, and we have already started hiring local talents. So we will be growing our employment base here as well. Our office will be growing with the belief in the strong storytelling capability of this country, and with the track record of the filming industry. We strongly believe in Turkey's potential, and Netflix is definitely dedicated to grow in the country, not only with respect to its slate, but also with respect to its resources here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pelin. I think I will use your sentences. Turkey storytelling capabilities is unique, and Turkey awaits all investors from the world. And you have heard many good stories in the last 1.5 hours, and many success stories. And as a AmCham and Presidential Investment Office, we are here to help you to navigate how to come and use this Turkey's potential. Thank you very much for our panelists, and thank you as a listener to our webcast. This is going to be recorded, and this is going to be published in AmCham website. I hope this will be seen as a helpful tool to help you to navigate your journey in Turkey. and help you to find Turkey as a valuable partner. And this is going to be end of our webinar. Thank you very much for your participation. And Aslı, AmCham team, thank you also for your hard work. Have a great
Thank you.
evening. Thank you.
Thank you, all participants as well.
Thank you too. It's a pleasure for us to be part of this panel. Thank you so much. Wish you a good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.